Hello, my name is Eva Belyaeva. I'm from Security Vision. Today, I'll be telling you about our next generation SOAR, about how it helps solve automation issues, including in industrial enterprises. I'll be using terms related to network segments. So I'll be talking about the technological network, sometimes I'll call it industrial, and the corporate network. I'll refer to it as the business segment. Let me tell you a little about the concept. The concept of an automation product is that we're starting to work not with specific information security systems or specific point issues, but with all processes in general. It's a group of processes that must be linked to the orchestrator. In our opinion, it needs to include them to ensure comprehensive protection of the enterprise. This may include some TI and behavioral analysis. Also, behavioral analysis can be about more than just people. It can be about the device, about everything that gives signals, its functioning. Plus, we're promoting the idea of a single window for all specialists, for IT specialists who maintain and administer systems, and for information security specialists who will deal with incidents later when they investigate them. When developing our solution, when we looked at what may be suitable for small companies and for large companies with different needs, we looked at the financial sector and the business sector and the industrial sector. We relied on international standards, NIST and SANS, the entire incident process as a whole. So we're not just talking about investigations and responses, we're talking about other important stages, for example, about the stage of preparation. So like the business segment, we need to take stock of the technology segment correctly, understand the infrastructure it consists of, how to get all this information and how this information should be updated regularly, how to build this process. Only after that, we move on to detection, we move on to analysis, to building some hypotheses, to setting up correlation rules, and in general, to ensure that these incidents receive them and then investigate them somehow. As for post-incident activity, we have it about hardening, about how to make our infrastructure better and more secure. What else do we think this should include? In fact, we weren't the only ones dealing with this. We partnered with Kaspersky Lab in terms of the fact that for some parts of this puzzle, we're interchangeable, we're a little bit of each other. We supplement each other, i.e., in terms of identification, if we're talking about the business segment, especially about the technical segment, we rely on KICS, which is our partner, and in terms of other solutions, we can provide both their own expertise and each other's in something to supplement. For example, to supplement in behavioral analysis, i.e. in addition to correlations, see what the devices in the technology segment are giving, who they're communicating with, where's the PLC connected or who connects to it, get data from it, and interaction with regulators. If this is critically important infrastructure, we're obliged to report this. We're obliged to build in some kind of integration, including with GOSOPCA, to receive information from there and to give back information about our incidents. Plus, as I said earlier, the preparation stage, asset management, vulnerability management. We look at what we have in general in the infrastructure, what we protect, what we manage, what processes are tied to this and already on top of this, or we help to refine existing processes or record them, automate them in our platform, or we offer our own version, which is already included in our solution out of the box. I want to talk about the key features of the system, what's different from any other SOAR, and what this synergy of our products gives. Firstly, we can adapt to the changing infrastructure of the customer. This doesn't apply to the technology segment to the same extent, but in terms of business, where new branches can appear, new people can start working, maybe the entire technology stack changes if you're import substituting or decide to switch to the cloud. The system can adjust to this automatically because most of the time and work that goes into preparing to receive incidents, it goes into cutting access and finding out who is looking where.
where, which network segment, what kind of network interaction they have. Once connected, we can access this information, receive it regularly, and on the basis of this information, provide relevant recommendations, relevant tools for the analyst who is involved in the incident and will be doing something.
Next, we introduce the concept of object-oriented response. It's not like in the old playbooks when we talk about how there's a specific set of actions, even complex actions. We decided to atomize them, make them as simple and understandable as possible so you can work with each object that constitutes an incident. Plus, we work with the attack vector and forming the kill chain. It's not always possible to understand in the technological segment this last stage when the attacker has already somehow harmed the system. Your turbines or whatever won't always tell you about it. This event may not come at all, but by constructing an attack vector, by linking incidents that have already happened, we can hypothetically guess what the next step will be, what system needs to be protected, and what needs to be checked, sometimes manually. Plus, we used our joint expertise with Kaspersky on how to respond to incidents, what steps need to be taken, and what specifically needs to be done to bring the system back into working condition. What are dynamic playbooks in addition to object-oriented response? Well, as you all know, how playbooks are built, when we implement NG SOAR, this is a hard code for certain types of incidents, a certain set of actions, a certain process that's accepted in the company, who to escalate to, who to contact, what to turn off, what to include, what logs to collect. This is all usually recorded in the internal regulatory documentation. We decided to get rid of this recording to make our system more flexible and offer tools to handle the incident. Because as soon as something new appears, some new attack, some new incident that wasn't there before, there's time to teach analysts with it, work with it, react to it. There's a lot of time because you need to go through this whole paperwork stage and compile a playbook. We broke down the stages in NIST and SANS and linked these rules to the main milestones of how the incident needs to be investigated. When an incident comes to us, we get the necessary attributes from it. For example, a critical information infrastructure facility or other critical infrastructure was involved. Certain people are involved. Depending on these attributes, we offer consistent actions that relate specifically to this particular incident at a given time, depending on the infrastructure, depending on its attributes, and depending on what the analyst who responds to the incident can do and can't do, and what's closed by the IT segment. Besides the dynamics, as I already said, we build the kill chain in real time. Here's an example of an emulated attack that you can come and see at our stands, the Kaspersky stand and Security Vision stand. At Kaspersky, you'll see how we handled this incident, emulated where to look, what means of protection are detected, and how it then comes into our system, a single window system, how this investigation can be continued. It would seem that events not very connected to other incidents that came to us as alerts, we can interpret as a chain of events that the attacker performed to carry out some malicious activity. Besides the kill chain, as I already said, we use the MITRE matrix as our basis. We even integrated it in our stack matrix not long ago. We give a recommendation based on our expertise. Where to go, who to talk to, what buttons to press, what order to do all this in, how to roll back the system to its previous state, and how to fine-tune the system in a way that the attacker can't repeat the same steps in any other infrastructure segment. What are the key benefits of this synergy and from this solution if we're talking in relation to what processes the customer has in place? First of all, if it's all in one place, it's much easier to approve and implement. It's easier to set up if everything comes from a single solution. But in addition, as I already said at the very start, we link to processes, we work with them, we don't impose our specific solution. If you have a security system that you like, whose operation suits you, that's embedded in your process, we don't ask to change your solution to ours. We just give you the chance to pull out all this information, this whole process, and break it down in our solution so you can manage it from a single window. For example, vulnerability process management, you can take what you already have and you don't necessarily need any big changes to get it done. Plus, when we look at the entire infrastructure, we help eliminate blind spots. Help establish interactions between departments that work with each other, that essentially share office space, but in reality, they don't know who from other teams is doing what and where they're responsible. In our experience, there was a case when a customer had two departments with the same CMDB solution. Some looked at one thing, others at something else, and with each other, they didn't really communicate very well. Here's an opportunity to add a solution that controls all processes in general. It helps us establish contact, establish communications, and make the decision-making process faster. Plus, the system will adjust to your current infrastructure for your future infrastructure. So you can get online, go offline. That's all taken into account. The advantage of a single window where several people can work simultaneously in the same system, eliminating delays and problems in communication. Also, it's not always the analyst who investigates an incident, even if they're really good, but if it's like 15 or 20 complex incidents per day, they might forget something, forget to do some routine actions. It's the human factor. No one is immune. We take this step and completely try to automate it so that when the analyst comes to work, they already see information from the entire information security system that the customer has installed, so that all logs are collected and predictions already provided. So we build some hypotheses. We explain that this can happen in the next step of the attacker. Here, he might start moving. These are the things we still need to check, and we've already done this for you. All the routine, we automate it all. On top of that is the fact that our solution is absolutely no code. No developer knowledge is required. There's a low entry threshold for analysts. Everything that can be done is available in clear buttons and clear settings. Naturally, we tried to do everything as much as possible so people don't have to handle the routine day after day, do the same actions, because the person investigating the incident, the person who manages the infrastructure, still needs some space to get creative. They need the chance to sit and think strategically, not in the moment, about where they're heading, where they're going, how to improve the infrastructure, what's needed in it, what needs to be removed from it, and so on and so forth. So remove this main layer of their work, which takes up most of a person's time. We highlight blind spots that people sometimes don't get to. Look, drill down, and help build an automated incident response process from the detection of incidents to actual investigations and reactions. In conclusion, I want to invite you once again to see how it works in real examples at our stands. And my team and I will answer all your questions, especially if there was something not so clear right now, or if you want to go a little deeper. Thank you very much.